Hi everyone and welcome to today's session. We have now entered the development phase, so this is phase 2, and we're going to work on reinforcing the foundations that we've laid in phase 1, the activity phase. So today's session is going to be an athletic development session, and it's going to follow the same format as the previous block, where we'll work on a stability unit for a warm-up and then work on a speed and power unit. So we're going to begin with the stability and mobility unit, and I want you to start off this unit as we normally would have done with the breathing control and the core bracing exercise. So spend some time on that before we move on to the following exercises. So we're going to start combining some exercises now in series of movements, and the first one we're going to do is the dead bug series. So I've got Jake here to demonstrate, so Jake, I'm going to get you down onto the mat for this. If you feel that this is a bit too advanced for you, just take it back to the previous blocks and practice each dead bug exercise on its own before you move on to the combined series. So the first one we're going to work on is the bent leg dead bug exercise, where you're going to extend the opposite arm and opposite leg, pull it back to the center, and do the same on the opposite side. All the time keeping your back glued to the mat, remember that. We're now going to move to a double extension, arm and leg, reaching out. Keeping the back glued to the mat. 2 repetitions. Keep your core nice and strong. And back to the center. Brace your core again, flatten the back, and now extend the legs up to the ceiling, the sole of the foot to the ceiling, straight leg, or long leg at least. And back to single leg movement. Arm extension, leg extension. Keeping that back glued to the mat. And holding here before you move to a double extension, arm and leg. Taking your time with this movement, the focus should be on keeping the core engaged and keeping the back glued to the ground. Good. And slowly lowering the arms and legs down. Perfect. Okay, so 2 repetitions there on a bent leg. Single extension, double extension, and then your long leg, single extension and double extension. 2, 2, 2, 2. Once you've completed that, we're going to move on to the back extension series. So this is going to combine your back extension exercises that we've learned previously with the IYTW movement as well. So Jake's going to demonstrate this again. We're going to begin with the IYTW movement, and you're going to do 1 repetition here of each. Bracing through the core as you lift. So for this, Jake, I'll get you to keep the legs down. I, Y, squeezing into the shoulder blades, opening up the chest, T, and W. Perfect. Arms out in front, and we're going to do a double back extension here. Arms and legs lifting off the ground for 4 repetitions. So now involving that leg extension as well. So arms staying in front here for this, Jake. Yep. 4 repetitions. And finishing with a combination now. So the double extension with the I, Y, and T, W. Keep that core nice and strong, and keep that extension steady. If you're bouncing on this movement, slow it down, make sure it's controlled. As you're lifting, make sure you're squeezing into those shoulder blades. Good. Okay, staying on the mat, you're going to perform a push-up rotation next. So now combining the push-up exercise with the T rotation. 4 to 6 repetitions here. Take your time with it, warming up through the upper body and opening up the chest a little bit more. As you open up, draw your arm back, look to the ceiling, and open up the chest. Nice strong push-up. So don't rush this exercise. You're still trying to get those movements right. Keep it nice and strong. We're still warming up. Good, that's 4 repetitions. If you're happy with that, you can leave it there. Jake's going to go for 6. And last rep, keep it strong and open up that chest. Good. Okay, let's come to a standing position. And the final exercise of the stability mobility unit is the around the world movement, stabilizing on one leg. And now we're going to progress from a foot slide to a foot lift movement. And hopefully you'll get a little bit more range on this exercise. If you're struggling with this, just take it back to the foot slide exercise that we would have performed in the previous block. Okay, so Jake, I'll get you, let's pop out here. Yeah, away from the mat. And the around the world movement is to the front, to the side, and behind on each leg, and you're going to come all the way around. So that's one round on this movement. So as you lift and tap, you're going to allow your body to lean back, and you're allowing the opposite knee, or the stabilizing knee, to soften so that you're falling into almost a quarter squat position. You don't want to fall any deeper. Good. And to the opposite leg behind. Tap. To the side, allowing that body to lean. So you can see there a little bit of a loss of stability from Jake. So he's going to work on that leg. Perfect. Okay, let's go once more, Jake. So you're going to do this for about 2 to 3 rounds. All the time focusing on keeping the ankle, the knee, and the hip aligned. Good. Jake's trying to get a little bit more range there. That's good. So we're going to watch it on this side. Try to keep that leg nice and steady, especially as you come out to the side. Good. So that was much better that time. So work on stabilizing as much as you can. Perfect. Okay, so 1 round, and you're going to repeat that 2 to 3 times. So that's it for the stability and mobility unit, and we're going to take it on to the strength and power unit next. So this is your strength and power unit, and we're going to continue challenging your movement skills by challenging the demands of the movement. But we're also going to increase the intensity by increasing the total repetitions that you're going to complete. So we're going to encourage you now to increase the sets from 2 to 3 that you were doing previously to now 3 to 4 sets. Now there's 2 formats of doing this. You can either do this in a repeated format that we would have started with, where you perform each exercise for the number of repetitions stated, and then return to the start and again complete that same format and do that 3 to 4 times. Or if you're feeling a little bit stronger and you want more of a challenge, you can do repeated sets, where you're going to work on the first exercise for 3 to 4 sets with a 1 to 2 minute break in between each set, and then move on to the next exercise and follow the same format. So it's up to you to decide which format you're going to use. The first exercise you're going to start with is the decline hip bridge exercise. So Jake's going to demonstrate this for us. Now this is advancing on from the double leg decline hip bridge exercise, and now we're going to go to a single leg movement. So starting position for this is the same as the double leg movement. You want to start with a nice 90-degree angle, heels elevated on a surface that's not too high, so you do want to make sure you've got that roughly 90-degree angle. And then you're going to, first of all, start with that double leg movement. Just to remind you here, you're going to lift the hips up, engaging the glutes. Good, and dropping back down completely. Okay, so once you've reminded yourself of that movement and you're feeling okay with it, you're going to move to a single leg decline hip lift. So what you're going to do is center one leg a little bit more on the raised surface that you're using and elevate the opposite leg, keeping it in line with the lifting leg. From here, you're going to apply the same technique, engage the glute, and raise the hips up, nice and controlled. Pause at the top for about 2 or 3 seconds, and then slowly coming back down and completely resting down. Each time you lift, engage the glute, pause at the top, and come down slow and controlled, resting at the bottom of the movement. So Jake, I'm going to get you to continue that for about 8 to 10 repetitions, each time engaging the glutes. So what you want to make sure that you're doing with this is keeping the hips as straight and aligned as possible. So a nice way to control that is to keep that opposite leg in line with the lifting leg as you raise up, making sure that that opposite hip doesn't dip down. Continuing to engage the glute. And as you raise the hips to the ceiling, make sure that you're not hyperextending through the back. So the lift is coming from the hips, from the glutes, and not through extension of the back. So keep that back nice and flat. After you've performed 8 to 10 repetitions on one leg, you're going to switch it over and perform 8 to 10 repetitions on the opposite leg. And then, as I said, you're going to either alternate the exercises or take a 1 to 2 minute rest and repeat that same exercise. Keep it controlled throughout. Nice and slow. Engage that glute. Good. Okay. So that's your decline one leg hip lift exercise. Full set on each leg, 3 to 4 sets. We're now going to move on to the lunge knee raise exercise. So this is going to advance on from the split lunge exercise that we'd worked on, and lifting into a raised knee position is going to engage the glute a little bit more and work on that one leg stability also. So Jake, I'll get you out into this space here to demonstrate. And what you're wanting to do here is move into a reverse lunge position just to make this exercise of movement a little bit more fluid. So stepping back into a lunge, look for that nice 90-degree angle, and then you're going to drive onto the front leg, squeezing through the front leg glute, and then control the movement back to the lunge. Again, 8 to 10 repetitions here. You want a nice strong lift as you transition onto the front leg, but you want to make sure that you're keeping the movement controlled as well. So not moving so fast that you lose control of the movement. Each time you're raising onto that front leg, engaging through the glute, and keeping that knee, ankle, and hip aligned. Eyes straight ahead throughout, and keeping a nice strong core. As with the previous exercise, you're going to do 8 to 10 repetitions on both legs before you move on. Take your time with this one, get that alignment right, focus on the glute. The glute is pulling you up to that standing position. Good. Okay, full set for each leg there. The next exercise we're going to work on is the push-up exercise. We're going to challenge this a little bit further by doing the uneven push-up. So all we're going to do here is use an elevated surface. So anything you can find at home that's not too high, you can challenge the height as you go along and get a bit stronger. But anything you can get your hands on at home that you can elevate your hand onto. So Jake's going to demonstrate here, and if you've got two objects that you can use, this does make this exercise a bit easier. If not, just do 5 repetitions on one side and then switch over and do 5 on the other. We're going to alternate here. So Jake's going to lift into a push-up position, one arm elevated on a surface, and you're going to perform the push-up as normal. He's going to alternate here, taking the hand down, switching over, and we're going to perform 8 to 10 repetitions. Now what this exercise is going to do is create a little bit more instability through the upper body and through the core, making the core and upper body fight a little bit harder to maintain stability as you perform the push-up. So what you don't want to happen here is for your body to rotate and twist away from that elevated side as you perform this movement. So fighting to stay aligned as you perform this. As I've said, if you prefer to complete 5 repetitions on one side and 5 on the other, you can do it that way. But you're going to complete 10 repetitions, 8 to 10 repetitions in total, and repeat it for 3 to 4 sets. Good. Take your time with it, making sure that you're trying to keep those hips aligned. Good. Okay, that's your uneven push-up. We're now going to move on to the duck walk. So we've worked on a few variations of the squat walk exercise. We've worked on a squat walk forward, back, lateral. We're now going to advance this exercise on to raising up onto the toes, creating a little bit more of a challenge to stabilize. So the duck walk exercise, you're going to drop into a squat position as you would with the normal squat walk, but before you start moving, you're going to raise onto your toes. From here, you're going to attempt to walk forward for 8 to 10 steps, trying to keep the hips as low as possible, so you don't want those hips bouncing up and down. Good. Nice control here from Jake. And arms out in front to counterbalance. Perfect. After about 8 to 10 repetitions, you're going to stand up, and then we're going to repeat that movement backwards. So dropping into the squat, arms out in front to counterbalance, lifting onto the toes, and now backwards movement. So a lot more challenging now. Just take your time with it. Use a range that you're comfortable with. As you get stronger with this, you can lengthen that range a little bit more, and you can get a little bit deeper on the movement. So 8 to 10 repetitions backward. And you're going to repeat that again for 3 to 4 repetitions. The final exercise for this phase is going to target the whole body, and we're going to be stabilizing laterally. So we're going to advance on the side plank exercise, and we're going to now perform the side plank dip. So Jake, I'm going to get you down onto the mat. We previously performed the side plank exercise just stabilizing. We advance onto the twist, and now we're going to work on a dip movement. Okay, so Jake, you're going to lift up into that side plank position. A reminder here, align shoulder on shoulder, hip on hip, and foot on foot or ankle on ankle. So keeping that alignment and not letting your shoulder rotate forward. From here, you're going to drop down towards the ground but not resting on the ground, and lift back up. So very subtle movement here, just dropping down and then activating through those obliques on the side to lift back up again. 8 to 10 repetitions. Keeping your shoulder nice and strong, not allowing yourself to sink into that shoulder. Core brace throughout. 8 to 10 repetitions. Once you've completed that, you're going to rest down and repeat the same on the opposite side. Once you've repeated the same on the opposite side, you're going to complete that for 2 to 3 sets, and that's it for our strength and power unit for today. We're now going to take it onto a cool down stretch just to finish up the workout. Okay, so for the cool down stretch, you're going to hold each stretch for about 30 to 45 seconds. And you're going to flow through a routine here from standing position down onto the floor and then back up onto the feet. Okay, so Henry, we're going to just start off with a stretch for the posterior chain, so along the calves, hamstrings, glutes, into your back, and we're going to stretch through the chest as well. So I'm going to get you to take your hands behind your back, interlock your fingers, and then you're going to pull your arms back to stretch through your chest. From that position, feet pointing forward, just about shoulder width apart. You're going to hinge forward at the hips and try bring your arms up as high as you can to the ceiling. So you're pulling your hands up to the ceiling and trying to keep your legs nice and straight on this. Good. So we're going to hold here for 30 seconds on each stretch. Really pulling those arms up. And really exaggerate that pull of the chest. And as you hold this movement, try exaggerate that pull. Pulling back through the shoulders, pulling the hands towards the ceiling. Good, so just holding for another 5 seconds, really exaggerating that stretch and just using a nice slow controlled breathing pattern here, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, keeping that position, Henry, bring your hands down onto the mat. Good, you're gonna walk forward, you're gonna drop onto one knee, and you're going to bring the opposite foot forward, and we're going to take a hip flexor stretch here. Good. So you're going to lean forward, and what you're looking for here is a nice stretch on the front of the hip. If you're not feeling that stretch, you can just walk your front foot forward a little bit more. If you're too far back, you're not going to get that stretch. So your knee here in front doesn't want to come over the toes. You're going to walk it forward and hold that stretch. Again, holding each stretch for about 30 seconds. If you can hold it for a little bit longer, you can go up to 45 seconds. Okay, let's keep that position, and we're going to take it now to the hamstring on the opposite side. So you're going to sit back, you're going to allow the toes come up towards you, and you're going to reach forward towards the foot. Okay, so as you're performing this stretch, you want to reach your hands towards the foot, but don't force the stretch and don't force any of these stretches. So just stretching to the point of tension and never pain on these movements. So you're just reaching towards that foot. If you can't reach the foot or the ankle, don't worry about it. Don't force the movement. So again, holding for about 30 seconds here, just helping these muscles to stretch out and kickstart that recovery. Good. Okay, Henry, you're going to switch legs. Opposite leg forward. You're going to push forward for that hip flexor stretch. If you're not feeling that, again, walk that front foot forward a little bit more. And just gently sitting forward. And let your torso come forward with you. You don't want to pull back on this movement. So just keep that spine neutral and hinge forward. Just trying to find that stretch on the front of that back leg. Again, using your breath, deep breaths into the nose, out through the mouth, remembering that that breath can help mobilize the joints and muscles. And sitting back for your hamstring stretch on this side. Again, reaching towards the foot, but not forcing the movement. If you can't reach the foot or ankle, just reach down along the leg as far as you can. If you find that the muscle is releasing out and you can reach it a little bit further, take it that little bit further. And on each exhale, imagine that muscle relaxing. And relax. Perfect. Okay, let's face this direction for the next one, Henry. We're going to take it now to the inner thigh. Take your hands down in front. You're going to bring your left leg out to the side. Toes pointing forward. And you're going to press back, and you should feel this stretch along the inside of the left leg. If you're struggling to find that stretch, you're just going to walk the supporting knee out a little bit wider and gently press back into it. You can rotate through the torso and sink down into it if you want to find a little bit of a deeper stretch. Feeling that, Henry? Again, about 30 to 45 seconds. And you can switch legs. Good, okay, straight leg on the stretching leg. Sit back into it, try find that stretch along the inside of the leg. Again, if you're struggling to find that stretch, you can walk the supporting knee out a little bit more, or you can rotate your torso towards the supporting knee. Again, using your breath, relax the muscles on the exhale. Good. Okay, Henry, I'll get you to bring your hands to the front of the mat again. From here, you're going to lift onto your toes. Nice straight leg position. Walk back to a standing position. Trying to keep the legs as straight as possible. And we're just going to finish off. You can stay facing that direction, Henry. We're going to finish off with a quad stretch. So you're going to keep your supporting leg nice and soft on this. I want you to reach back, grab a hold of your foot behind, and pull your heel towards your back side. Now, as you're doing this, the supporting knee staying soft to stabilize. And pulling your heel nice and close to the back side. If your knee is out here in front, you're not going to feel that stretch. So pull it back in line with the opposite leg or back beyond it if you can. Also trying not to let that knee flare out to the side. So keep it centered, keep it pulled back, and hold that stretch on the quad. Again, 30 to 45 seconds, and switch it over. Soft supporting leg. Keep that balance. If you are struggling to balance here, you can just hold on to something and get that stretch. So again, knee centered, pull it back. Try not to let it come out in front. Try not to let it come out to the side. Pull it back, stay centered, and feel that stretch on the front here on the quad. Again, using your breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And relax. Good. Okay, and that's it for our session today. Thank you very much for joining us, and looking forward to seeing you in the next session.